Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, we continue our working day. Now the floor is given to Ministry of Defense spokesman on NATO-related issues, Colonel Oleksandr Motuzyanyk. Good afternoon, everyone. Now the information about the events that happened in the ADU area during the last 24 hours. Lugansk sector. Yesterday, during the day, the enemy continued shelling of Ukrainian positions at the line of confrontation, mainly using mortars and small arms. The most difficult situation in the Lugansk sector was in the region of Krymsk. Here, the enemy 3 times opened mortar fire from 3 different directions. The shelling lasted 3 hours, and in the course of one of the shellings, the militants launched about 160 mines. Also, enemy mortar squads delivered disturbing fire to Popasная Oleksandrovka and Stanitsa Luganska Novozvanivka. The militants used small arms and grenade launchers. During the last 24 hours, in the Lugansk sector, there were 14 enemy shelling, including 5 with use of mortars. The Donetsk sector, yesterday the enemy continued to deliver mortar fire in the region of Svetlodarsk Balch, the Gorlovka perimeter, Avdiivka and the Donetsk airport. The enemy repeatedly used mortars for delivering disturbing fire, at that launching about 10 mines per shelling. Several times a day, enemy mortar squads delivered fire of mid-intensity and launched about 40 mortar mines. And in the afternoon, the militants for 1 hour shelled Svetlodarsk and Novgorodsk, launching at that about 30 and 40 mines. And in the region of Avdiivka at 5 p.m., enemy shelling started, delivered from eastern and southeastern direction, that lasted more than 4 hours. The occupants used artillery of 122 mm, weaponry of tanks, mortars and small arms of different types. Also at about 5:30 p.m. in the course of enemy shelling with the use of grenade launchers of our positions at checkpoint near Avdiivka industrial sector, a woman volunteer was wounded. She was delivered to mobile hospital in Pokrovsk and she was provided with medical aid. Now her state is satisfactory. Yesterday, during the day, for several hours of relative calm in Avdiivka, engineers together with military and operative services restored electricity supply of the town. Repair work of the electricity supply lines gave opportunity to filtration station to work properly to supply settlements and the town with water. Also, mortar shellings of the enemy of mid-intensity were recorded in Opetne and Verkhnyotoretsk. And moreover, late in the evening, the militants opened fire with artillery of 122 mm mortar to Lugansk. During the last 24 hours in Donetsk sector, there were 49 shelling delivered by the militants, including 28 with the use of heavy weapons. The Mariupol sector, there the enemy traditionally actively deliver provocations with the use of small arms. During the day, the occupants delivered 3 shellings with the use of heavy weapons. Twice, the militants opened fire into Pavlopol, and they used artillery of 122 mm and launched more than 30 artillery shells. After 9 p.m., the enemy also delivered mortar shelling to the direction of Marienka near Shirokina, and to the south of Marienka, enemy sniper groups were active. And as previously, the absolute majority of ceasefire violations by the enemy is in Pavlopil, Shirokina part of front line. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Mariupol area, there were 34 enemy shelling recorded. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, 1 Ukrainian serviceman was killed. 8 servicemen were wounded. And our hearts go out to the servicemen who died for Ukraine.
In Lysychansk, the policeman
had confiscated RGD-5 grenades from 2 people. One of those detained was previously convicted, and both owners provided no explanation about the origin of those grenades. The servicemen from the National Guard are trained to carry out a reconnaissance in course of flights of unmanned aerial vehicle. The National Guard servicemen operated them and analyzed the incoming data. They identified different different weaponry and established the coordinates. Also, the servicemen from the National Guard who are deployed in Mykolaiv and Avterka donated blood for wounded brothers. Especially this was needed for those with rare kinds of blood, and this demonstrates how people are united around defense of their country. Thank you, Mr. Kennel, and we will finish with this. We will finish. The next event will be at 1 p.m.